Yo, what is up, everybody? Kyle and Mike from the Fantasy Phenom here to break down today's DFS action. So we're going to start with baseball. Mike has to leave in about 40 minutes, so we're going to get as much through baseball with Mike here as we can. And then I'll give my quick thoughts on the NBA slate, being that it is only 3 games again. Nothing too exciting. And we'll go from there.
It's pretty exciting, though. You think about it, Kyle. NBA playoffs. I'm excited, but I see what you're saying as far as DFS. Not as exciting as a 15-game baseball slate, which finally we've come to this. You know, after all these day games, we've got a traditional 15-game slate. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be intimidating at first to those who are not used to, playing MLB DFS. I think game fades are in full force today.
Yeah. You have to really now is the time where you really have to figure out what games you're completely off of.
But at the same time, it's kind of exciting because you can really start your old process again. You know what I mean? Like kind of going back to like how you did it with a 15-game slate, because obviously, slate theory has kind of been in play early on in the season when you're talking about aces versus aces, 4-game slates, 9-game slates, games spanning all day long. So this is going to be the first real, true 15-game night slate. So let's do it.
Truth. Bam. All right.
I'm actually surprised, man. This is like one of the one day a week they don't do yard work there.
Oh, I know, right? I'll close the door again if it happens, but I will. Might hurt someone. It didn't rain today, so I guess that means they don't blow the leaves on days it rains. Or days it doesn't rain, because that makes sense. I don't know.
No, they're chilling somewhere.
So, White Sox at Yankees. Yankees are pretty heavy favorites. Again, you have Severino on the hill. Clearly has strikeout stuff. It's sounding like he's going to be pretty chalky today, especially on DraftKings where you need 2 pitchers.
Yeah, he's seemingly probably going to be the highest owned SP2 on DraftKings. Early thoughts on this game, obviously. Severino jumps out, have 11 Ks against the Rays, but, I think a lot of teams, or a lot of pitchers strike out higher than their average versus the Rays. White Sox really aren't. They're like a middle-of-the-road strikeout team, but Severino's looked poised in this early season. He looks poised in comparison to what he did a couple of years ago starting out. He's got his changeup working similarly to Pineda. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, another early takeaway I think is there's a cheap stack here with the Yanks, man. They're hitting well.
Yeah, you have the White Sox striking out at a clip of 23%. The league average is 21.8, so slightly above average. Not nearly as much as the Rays and Brewers at 27 and 28%, but those are outliers at this point, literally.
But at the same time, these K-9 ratios for Severino are still yet to be, solidified. I mean, this guy's still a young talent who's finding his way. But again, he's shown pretty good poise. Obviously, having some bats behind, scoring runs for you helps with that with the young pitcher. So we'll see what happens today.
Yeah, Aaron Judge's numbers immediately stick out. Again, small sample size, but at home versus righties, he's crushed the ball. Home run every 10 at-bats.
Miguel Gonzalez is not a hard thrower. So
look at this fly ball rate, 40%, 36, 36, 38. Home runs all over 1 per 9. Hard contact rate almost 30%, and doesn't strike out people. So
yeah, so a lot of home run numbers, especially versus lefties there in those stats, and that is not a small sample size. He's been around a while. I'm sure you could probably find some legit BBP stats with some of the Yankees. against Gonzalez. I know he's been in the AL a while.
What are we thinking?
So yeah,
Greg Bird, Chase Headley, Jacoby
yeah,
Ellsbury?
I'm curious to see what they do with Greg Bird. Obviously he did not play last game. The game before that, they dropped him down to 7th in the order, 7th or 8th. I would be surprised if he bats 3rd today. I would be. I don't see why you change something that's working. As far as I think that's why Judge is still bottom in the order.
Do you think they go Aaron Hicks here then?
Not against the lefty. I mean, they've been trying to get Hicks's lineup in the.
So who do you think they
his
bat
bat in
second?
the lineup. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, we've seen Jacoby Ellsbury bat cleanup recently.
Nice. Starling Marte just tested
It
positive.
could be
PEDs.
Castro. Could be Castro.
Starling Marte suspended for 80 games.
See ya.
Nice. That's awesome. Apparently those PEDs didn't help much because his powers still sucked.
Yeah, he's not a star. But yeah, I think there's a cheap stack here at the Yankees. I think all these guys priced pretty low. What I'm saying is I'm thinking if the lineup stays similar, you're looking at Castro, you're looking at Headley, Judge, Bird, even Romine, man. It's been playing well.
I don't know that I'm on Romine, but you can try and convince me otherwise.
It's something that he's not a one-off. He's something to consider in a stack if the lineup plays out, to your benefit. Again, he's extremely cheap, as all these guys are. Greg Bird, 3,300 with Big Pop, 3,400 for Castro, who had 2 doubles yesterday and just been really playing well. Headley is 2nd in the league in batting average right now, which is beyond me. I mean, I don't know what's going on, man.
So, with that said, do you just full fade Chicago? Like, is that you just avoid looking at that lineup?
Well, I think if Severino is going to be chalky, I think that intrigues me from a tournament perspective. No?
Yep. I agree completely. I've seen way too many times stacks against the chalk.
I don't have any numbers, but from watching the Yanks a lot, Todd Frazier's a Jersey boy, grew up a Yankee fan. He plays well at the stadium.
If he plays today.
Yep, if he plays today. He's been day-to-day, correct?
Mm-hmm. So, Toronto's pretty heavy favorites here as well. Obviously, I think that has a lot to do with their starting pitcher, Brian Johnson, who hasn't been fantastic in his brief starts or limited sample size. But Marcus Stroman, he is legit when you look at these numbers. I mean, his WOBA at home versus left-handed batters, 299. His WOBA at home versus right-handed batters is 293. Both of those are below the poor threshold for hitters, so a nice strikeout clip. You talk about a nice under 1 home run per 9 clip, low fly ball. The hardest contact he gives up is 30% to lefties.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with this implied run total for Toronto. I mean, obviously, yeah, Brian Johnson is could be, John Doe for all we know. 4,200 on DraftKings is very interesting. I know that I looked it up. The guy has a decent pedigree as he's not like some Joe Schmo, that played 10 years in the minors. He's got some decent pedigree as a prospect. Battled through some injury over the last year or so. And he's going up against perhaps the one of the worst lineups in baseball right now without Edwin Encarnacion, no Josh Donaldson. Look at this lineup, man. We got Ezekiel Carrera, Kevin Pillar, Darwin Barney, Steve Pearce, Ryan Goins. Like, this isn't your traditional Toronto Bombers.
This is the in fact right one.
Well, I'm not even reading it. I'm just saying, like, the people that have been in the lineup recently.
I got you.
Yeah. Donaldson officially on the DL now. Joey Bats without his protection, man, is swinging outside the zone, trying to force things right now.
Joey Bats has been struggling this year, though.
I've been watching his at bats, man.
Even with Donaldson.
He's been swinging at balls, striking out a lot. So I don't know. I don't know that I can really get on board with going after
Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson.
Yeah, no, I mentioned yesterday how Toronto's on the shelf for me. I don't even with Brian Johnson. I don't think I take them off here. So.
Yeah, and the Boston lineup does somewhat intrigue me as well. I think I know Stroman, like you said, he's the real deal when he wants to be, but so is this Boston lineup, man. I think Mitch Moreland has got one of the highest exit velocities on this young season. He's been a doubles machine. Kind of gets a little bit of a positive park shift as a lefty going to Toronto. Someone I'm looking at.
For what it's worth, we do have the White Sox lineup out now. It does, in fact, look like Todd Frazier is out again. So you have Saladino, Anderson, Cabrera, Abreu, Garcia, Matt Davidson, who's going to bat in the 6th hole again. For Todd Frazier, you have Yolmer Sanchez, who hit a home run yesterday. Narvaez, and Luis Garcia. So, nothing too scary there. I'm going to fade.
Not really, no.
Yeah. Honestly, Mike, I think this is a full game fade for me.
This Boston game?
Yep.
Yeah, again, I didn't like anybody in Toronto. I mentioned one guy off Boston, and I don't play these pitchers, so I can get there, behind that.
I'm not confident in Stroman or the Boston bats one way or the other, so I really don't know which way it's going to go. I like Stroman's home numbers, but again, Boston's bats have seemingly started to wake up, but I always give edges to pitching, so it's really hard for me to get a good grip on this game. And with Boston's bats not being the cheapest stacks I could find, I think it leads me to fully fade this entire game. And obviously I'm not rostering Toronto's bats, so.
The only other thing I will say is that looking at second base, I wasn't blown away as a position, so perhaps Pedroia in that leadoff spot.
You have Baltimore,
tends to turn around on some fastballs.
Baltimore and Cincy, these lineups are confirmed. So Baltimore is the chalk, seemingly. Highest projected run total of the day for a team. You got Bronson Arroyo, who is god-awful. These stats...
Hashtag last man standing for Cincinnati's starting 5.
These numbers really surprise me, though. Look at these splits. So he just absolutely gives it up to righties, but does actually relatively well versus lefties. I don't know how. But
makes very little sense.
There's plenty of righties on this Toronto lineup to go around. And Mark Trumbo is a guy that has reverse splits. Chris Davis obviously can hit righties. I mean, I don't think there's anything to worry about here in terms of the Baltimore lineup struggling. The only problem I can foresee is there is some wind blowing in Cincinnati.
The real problem that I see is that everyone's going to be on him versus lack of action Bronson.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that. I guess he can go there. I like Chris Davis. I mean, Chris Davis has got to be an elite play today, in my opinion.
An elite one-off, absolutely.
Yeah. Trumbo, I like that as well. He likes to put the ball in the air, and you just mentioned those righty splits. I think that he's I don't know what he's been doing on this young season. He hasn't really been making much noise that I know of. Let's see. But I mean, this guy did hit 42 home runs last year, so
he's really not doing anything outstanding so far. So I mean,
yeah, he's got a homer. Yeah, no, he hasn't.
There's two potential things. Either he's due for a regression, or he hasn't found his stride yet.
Right. It seems in those 2 games where Baltimore their stack went off, he was involved, but he wasn't like the guy you had to have.
Agree with that. So I think for a tournament play, Baltimore is easily fadeable. You talk about teams that, or in tournaments, you have you want to, not necessarily play all the chalk. However, it's not a. I'm not saying don't play Baltimore, right? Because if they absolutely go off, you're gonna have to hope that your lineup does something to keep you with that chalk because the entire cash line is gonna move. And if you don't have an equal number of home runs or output from your lineup, you're done. So you better be confident that your lineup can outscore Baltimore. In
And
cash,
the reason we say chalk too, it's 507 implied run total. I think they're the highest, only team over 5 on the slate. People look at that, it's kind of 101. Check out the Vegas implied totals, and then you look at Bronson Arroyo. Everyone knows him. He's been around since like the 80s.
it's in a hitter's ballpark. I mean, look at all the
Been
stats
a,
here.
yep, and then it might even be a better hitter ballpark than Camden Yards. So, and I don't know. I think the chalk's definitely 3 through 5, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Although I can get behind Adam Jones, so
Yeah, me too. And Seth Smith too, I think.
I think Seth Smith will be lower owned today, which will be interesting. So you know what? You could honestly make a stack out of this that is contrarian,
Mm-hmm.
but it depends. I mean, how much JJ Hardy? His numbers don't look good there. He's pretty not good now. I don't want to say bad, but he's not great now. I do worry about him being an eighth place hitter with a pitcher behind him, but
No, it's interesting too. You make that case, and Wellington Castillo is somebody that people generally only play versus lefties, but we just talked about the righty splits, that
Arroyo.
reverse splits for Arroyo, and people are not going to be playing him because again his platoon numbers are so drastic. Could be somewhere you can get some cheap exposure to if Davis and Trumbo get on base.
Fair point, Mike. Fair point. Do you look at anyone on the Cincinnati side? I mean, Gosman's done pretty well this year, but you still got Votto with elite splits versus lefties at home. Still got Adam Duvall, Suarez, Schebler. I mean, this could be a game stack.
I don't know, man. I really didn't write down many of these guys, to be honest with you.
So definitely, you can look there. I think this is game stack potential. I mean, Cincinnati having an implied run of almost 4 is not low by any means. So there's
Mm-mm.
worse on the slate. For example, both these teams have an implied total of less than Cincinnati's. Detroit and Tampa Bay, both these lineups are also confirmed. Something that automatically jumps out. Well, obviously, Michael Fulmer is going to be chalk today as well. I think he is another candidate, obviously, on draft. I think he's more so chalk. So, Mike and I were talking about this, right? You have chalk on FanDuel and DraftKings, and they're very different. On DraftKings, you're forced to roster 2 pitchers. Typically, you have a pitcher in the higher tier and a pitcher in the mid-range or lower tier. So you have to find those guys on DraftKings. On FanDuel, you can make it work with wherever you go on at pitcher. So the chalk is less chalky, I guess you could say. So you look at Severino, I think, is a potential chalk play. Fulmer, I'm hearing talked about a lot. Darvish. And I think a lot of people are on Darvish because Max Scherzer is so much more expensive, especially on DraftKings.
It's a $2,100 difference on DraftKings, and you're looking at, I think Fulmer is the third highest priced pitcher on this slate overall. So it's not even like, so I think the top 2 pitchers on the slate, in my opinion, are Darvish and Fulmer, but they're both considered high price guys on this slate. So fading, and then so for that reason, I feel like maybe they take away from each other. I think in cash, I think that's probably going to be the 2 guys people go with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you see some Severino in cash, but I think Severino will have a higher ownership than those 2 guys because I think you're going to have a lot of people picking between Darvish and Fulmer and just going Severino at SP2 as far as ownership is concerned. I like Fulmer today. I think he's better chalked than Severino going up against Tampa Bay. Obviously, this guy had a great season last year, beyond great season last year. I'm rooting for him. I hope it's not a one-year wonder, but it could be.
Hey, we just got Boston's lineup in. They
Mm-hmm.
made quite a few changes. Bogarts is going to lead off. Benintendi is going to bat second. Mookie Betts third. Hanley Ramirez fourth. Moreland. Chris Young is sixth. Looks like Pedroia is out. Sandoval seventh. Christian Vasquez is
Mm-hmm.
going to bat eighth. and Marco Hernandez.
He's going to play second.
Yes. So, interesting.
I'm not sure if that makes me like Bogarts more or less. I think that could be a sneaky stack today going up against Stroman. I think people will be on Stroman a little bit today.
I think so too. So that is interesting. Bogart's leading off. I'm not sure how I feel about
Could be a sneaky little stack there with him and Benintendi.
So Detroit and Tampa. Corey Dickerson's numbers jump off the charts. A 402 WOBA and a 284 ISO mic. 40% hard contact, 42% fly ball at home versus righties. Is he? He's still pretty cheap. I believe he's only 3,100 on FanDuel. Is that a play you can get behind?
I think so. Again, I've been doing this often. I've been trying to locate the chalk pitchers and finding the one guy. If I'm going to fade that pitcher, the one guy to just kind of like double down on my fade and find one guy in the lineup against him that will be low owned because of the chalk. And, like I said, I've been doing that from time to time. And that's what's great about these spreadsheets. It kind of allows you to look through this lineup and find that one guy.
I mean, but there's more than one guy you can look at here. I mean, I'm looking. So just based on, we're just going to look simple colors right now. You have Corey Dickerson, Longoria, and Brad Miller, all that have good numbers at home versus righties. Logan Morrison historically hits righties well. For whatever reason, struggles more at home than on the road. He hits righties on the road better than he does at home. But I don't know, man. I could see a potential Tampa Bay stack here. They are actually favored, which surprises me because I think Fulmer is far and away a better pitcher than Andriese. I don't know. And Fulmer has reverse splits for what it's worth. Gives up 1.2 home runs to righties and only 0.6 to lefties.
I don't know that I'm going to get behind a stack against Fulmer today. I think you can run off if you wanted to and stick to one of these. I could go any of these 1 through 4 guys. But I don't know that I want to stack it. I don't feel that confident. I mean, I like Fulmer enough.
That's fair. I'm a fan of Fulmer too. On FanDuel, he actually didn't even make my player pool for roster because I was either going Yu Darvish or all the way down to Kyle Freeland. And yes, I'm going back to Freeland today. He's already done well versus the Dodgers in Coors. He has strikeout stuff. We already saw what Robbie Ray did last night. You can look at Patrick Corbin and say, which one does he profile more as? The stuff I've seen from Freeland leans me more towards Robbie Ray than Patrick Corbin. So.
Yeah, Freeland's a good call. Since I'm probably getting off early, I might as well talk about my punts down here. I was going to mention Freeland, and if you wanted to pivot off of Severino, I was thinking either him or Shelby Miller against San Diego and Petco.
Elite pitcher spark, so yeah. Philly and
he has not looked good this year, so.
Shelby Miller,
or like the last 2 years.
Ever. Yeah. If you look here, man, there is some potential for a Mets stack. Look at Zach Eflin's numbers versus lefties. 2.7 strikeouts per 9. 2.7 home runs per 9. Oh, I'm sorry, this number is wrong. Damn it. That number's wrong.
Yeah, but that's a very small. I think it's a small sample. I still think I think whoever plays on the Mets in that outfield, I want, whether it be Conforto or Granderson or Bruce. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope they have put 4 people in that outfield so I can play them all.
Well, they got Conforto, Cespedes, and Bruce. I mean, that's your line. That's your outfield. This lineup is confirmed. But
so no Granderson.
No Granderson. But this seems like a possible elite Mets stack today. Lucas Duda, great numbers obviously versus righties at home in almost 500 plate appearances. So that is a healthy sample size. A 50% fly ball rate, 44% hard contact. Even if you don't
this lefty lineup, man.
Even if you don't go a Mets stack, is Duda an elite one-off today for a cheap price?
Yep, I think you said the same about Conforto.
Yeah.
All these guys are cheap, man. Another cheap stack. Another cheap New York stack.
The only one that's
Like,
not cheap
obviously,
is Cespedes.
Cespedes, yeah.
Yeah. But
But
Walker's been picking it up. You got Jay Bruce. You got Duda. I could see a 4-5-6 stack. I'm not going Reyes, but 4-5-6, I can get behind that a lot. If you want a cheaper stack.
as could I. Excuse me.
On the Philly side, do you look at Zach Wheeler, who has struggled versus lefties in his brief time?
It's interesting. I've been listening, and reading a lot in this area. A lot is being made of Zach Wheeler's decline in velocity. Like since being back, obviously that's something that is being widely touted as how is he pitching, how is his velocity, how does he look, how are his mechanics, and things aren't optimistic. Obviously, he's playing the Phillies at home. And you can look around this lineup here, not a lot of green here to love, so could be contrarian today.
Yeah, I can see a Herrera, maybe one off. Maybe Freddie Galvis is a potential down at that 8th spot. By the way, this lineup just came in, so let's see what it is.
I love when this happens, dude. It's so exciting.
Right. That's what I love about baseball, man. We get these lineups long before. Looks like Daniel Nava is gonna go second. Do you look there? Potentially, you can go 1, 2, 3 now with your 3 lefties. Daniel Nava. Obviously, we've seen him flash some power. Saunders is 5th. Tommy Joseph 6th. Rupp, Galvis. All right. So the only change was Nava instead of Howie Kendrick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really love any Phillies guys. I don't see myself rushing to play them again. I could consider Wheeler today as a contrarian play. Let me look at his price on DraftKings. It's 7,800. So it could be an ownership pivot off of Stroman and Fulmer. Stroman at 83, Fulmer 89. So within $1,000, those two guys.
Fair.
And I like him over like Ryu or Wei and Chen.
Ryu. No
I'm talking about other guys in this price range,
No, I'm just saying no thanks on Ryu. So I'm just looking up. This is crazy that Zach Eflin's. This is really wow.
Is he okay over there?
His numbers are legit the same. His average against lefties is legit the same as his home run per 9. How?
What do you mean his K per 9 and his home run per 9?
That's what I meant. Yeah.
To the 1,000th?
I swear to God, 2.7614.
Well, that just might be like the sample size. He's given up 3 home runs and struck out 3.
Yeah, that's legit crazy.
It's when you're really small sample sizes. It doesn't. It could happen.
So he's given up 9 home runs versus lefties and struck out 9 batters versus lefties. There you go.
That's what I'm saying.
9 home runs to lefties in 29 innings, Mike. Wow.
He's having some trouble there.
Wow. Yeah, man, Met stack. I love that 4-5-6 right now. And then you can even throw Conforto in there at the 1. Damn it, I might be talking myself onto a Met stack. I was all over.
But how do you fade Cespedes if you're going to stack the Mets? He's going to be a part of it. I don't see them just striking out.
GPP.
Dude's a stud.
But these are wow. That's just I don't know. I'm in shock right now.
Look at hard contact versus fly ball for Conforto and Duda.
That's what I'm saying. I can go. I'm looking at this contrarian, and I'm looking at Conforto, Bruce at 38%, Neil Walker. I mean, his numbers are, at least numbers-wise, right around Cespedes, and everyone's going to be on Cespedes for the price. And if I do this cheap Met stack, that puts Darvish in play easily. So.
Yep, definitely one of my favorites today. I agree. It's not like they've been struggling either.
Theo says, "Be careful, Kyle. They took all my money last week."
That'll happen, man.
All right, Washington and Atlanta. Me and Mike were talking. It's surprising to see that Max Scherzer is not a heavier favorite here. Luis Severino is
Hmm.
a heavier favorite than Max Scherzer. Granted, it is a road game, so there is that. But
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers too against Atlanta over his career. It's seemingly, you're looking at his K to 9. It's very good, but I think it drops like 7% or something like that. Um, he strikes out. He probably strikes out close to like 35% of batters in his career, and then against Atlanta, it's in the 20s. It's more of like a normal strikeout rate per se. So it limits the upside a bit. Again, it's more of a question on FanDuel, in my opinion, when they're closer in price. I think it's only like $600, whereas on DraftKings it's 2,100.
JL asked, the foul ground in Oakland, it should bring used
Mm-hmm.
K's way down, right? I don't think it. I mean, it may limit his K's by one or two. I don't think way down is fair to say. I mean, he doesn't pitch to contact. He's not a
Yeah,
contact
he's a
pitcher.
swing and miss guy. Yeah.
So, granted, if the ball is in play, then potentially yes. But I don't view you Darvish as that foul ground really hurting him.
Yeah, I mean the upside is still there more so than I think Scherzer today for the price.
Nah.
Um, but yeah, just talking about Darvish real quick, like I was saying, is like with Fulmer, if you're trying to not double down about fading the chalk and pick a one off, obviously the first guy you come to is Chris Davis, right? But you think about it, like we just said, Darvish is such a swing and miss pitcher. Like he's got swing and miss stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Davis, that's what he does, man. So I don't know that really makes sense today.
Fair, fair.
But yeah, Scherzer, Fultonovitz in Atlanta. Is it Daniel Murphy is pretty much gonna hit 500 again this season.
I don't know why he's on here. This is Donis Phillips. You'll probably get Kurt and then Jace Peterson again.
What are you saying? Over under on Daniel Murphy batting average this season? 378.
It's gonna be hard to do that again.
He's doing it though.
I know he is. What are your thoughts on being? I don't even know if this is contrarian because I don't know how chalky Max will be. But
Mm-hmm.
even
Especially on DraftKings.
yeah, even a two-man Atlanta going back to Freddie Freeman is. I mean, Freddie Freeman's numbers versus right-handed pitching at home is ridiculous already. That's at the old Atlanta ballpark. You factor in this new one, where we've seen it's favoring lefties heavy, and he's hot. I mean, is Freddie Freeman against Max? Max has a really, really high fly ball rate. I think he's in play, and I'm not going to call him an
I would
elite.
say
Go ahead.
I would say yeah if he wasn't like 60% owned yesterday and he hit a home run. You know, it's like
Two home runs.
two home runs. So I would say if that didn't happen yesterday and the chalk didn't come through and people like if he killed people yesterday, like he put up a goose egg and he's playing Scherzer today, he would have no ownership and I would think he's contrarian. But the fact he had two dongs yesterday and lefty righty matchup again, the numbers make sense. I think he'll have enough ownership. Just it's not worth a contrarian play in my opinion. I think Max Scherzer on the other hand, like we just said, especially on DraftKings, could be a contrarian play too.
So here's your
Especially if you wanted to go, especially when you wanted to go Freeland, your SP2. I think it would be a similar price point as Darvish and Severino.
Tell me what you think of this lineup, Mike. Because I really like
Gardner, Ellsbury, back to the old. Yeah, I like it.
So
I like that lineup a lot.
Castro, Judge, Bird stack.
Yep. No Chase Headley today. It's interesting. Getting a well-deserved day off. Torreyes and Cosma. That's not fun. Oh well, yeah, I do like it, man. I like that. It's very cheap. Very cheap. Who's after Greg Bird in that stack? Austin Romine, right?
Romine, Torreyes, and then the one and only Pete Cosma.
That's what I'm saying. You can go Castro through Romine, in my opinion. They are playing as well as anyone, and they're cheap.
That's what I'm saying. You can go that 4 through 7 stack right there. So, okay.
I'm not afraid of Gonzalez.
Let me ask you this then. I think Yankees stack is going to be higher owned than a Mets stack. Do you go
Probably
Yankees or Mets? Who is the... Okay, let me ask you this first before you leave. Who is the better stack, like most points, and then what is your preferred stack? Take out your Yankee homerism, get off your, you hate the Mets. We have 27 rings, bullshit, whatever,
When did I say anything about that?
I'm just playing with you.
what I was gonna say is that the pitcher is everything in MLB DFS. To me, it just depends on what it allows me to do with my pitchers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really care that much in a 15-game slate. Like, how chalky really is it going to be playing Castro through Romine? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it might have some more ownership than the Mets, but I don't know. If it allows me to get two pitchers that I like, if I can get let's put it this way, if I can get the same pitchers with the Mets stack as I can with the Yankees stack, I'd rather play the Mets. But
interesting. And
if going down to the Yanks means I can get pitchers I feel more comfortable about, I will do it in a heartbeat. Just because pitchers are the most important thing, man.
Absolutely, no, I agree. Especially on DraftKings where you have two. So, but you think a Mets stack outscores a Yankee stack today?
I do. I think that's a safer bet. I mean, these guys have just got so much pop in their bat. It's another thing is like, sometimes, when you have these small sample sizes, right, with Zach Eflin, right, going up, but trying to target those numbers somewhat is,
it's hard.
It's not tricky. It's more like it seems too good to be true, right? It's like, oh my God, let's do this. Like, but the guy's still a young pitcher. He's still going to have good starts in his career. Whereas Miguel Gonzalez, you know what you're going to get with him.
True.
Those numbers are true, tried and true. You know what you're going to get. The Yankees are hot. It just kind of, I don't know, for some reason it's more comforting to me.
And on top of that,
playing those guys.
Eflin has had, these are primarily last year's numbers. I think he's only had one start this year, if at all. But he has had an entire offseason to work on his game, so.
Yes, they are.
Are you looking?
Jeffrey's giving some slight shade. It's all good, man.
I went all hitters. Me and Theo took that approach, and I didn't realize that pitchers were God in your season league.
The scoring is modeled after DFS. I thought that was going to be fun.
Okay, so we went there. Milwaukee, Chicago. Last game before you head out, Mike. Nelson,
right.
Anderson. Milwaukee's still hot as fuck, but they still strike out more than anybody.
I'll keep it short and sweet here. Jimmy Nelson played well against the Cubs, but I don't think he's going to play well against the Cubs today. I like Schwarber and Rizzo, and Zobrist. I can go there. Obviously, Eric Thames is going to, or Thames, I don't know how you say it. Apparently, his nickname was God in Korea.
How about just Flames? Because he's hot.
Yeah, Flames. He is this year's Trevor Story, it seems like. So I don't know that you can fade him against Brett Anderson, but again, if you're playing tournaments, every day is not going to be like yesterday with all the chalk hits. I think Keon Brock's another guy I think is interesting today. Ryan Braun is making a little bit of a comeback season, I might add. So there's definitely a lot to like on both sides of this as far as the hitters. I think my favorite expensive stack today is the Schwarber, Rizzo, Zobrist, maybe Bryant.
By the way, I just want to point out real quick. So this is why plate appearances are huge. Eric Thames has a home run in all 3 plate appearances on the road versus a lefty this year. That's why you see a WOBA of 1.6, an ISO of 3, and all this. Like, he's literally, all 3 at-bats has a home run. So be very careful. Don't... He's not going to continue that. But, again, plate appearances are kind of a big reason, or a big point.
I don't know. Do you think people will be on Jimmy Nelson because he beat the Cubs a week ago?
I would love for people to be on Jimmy Nelson because I kind of like Kyle
Yeah,
Schwarber
just
today.
do it. Yeah, I like Schwarber and Rizzo today, man.
Don't tell our people to do it.
Oh yeah, don't do it. Jimmy Nelson. All right, guys. Well, you're in Kyle's hands for the next little bit of minutes here. I'll be back closer to lock to answer some questions and build some lineups.
I'm
But
gonna throw Theo on the show.
let's see what else do we got? How many games we got left? Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Maybe we both like a Kansas City stack today. I wouldn't mind fading the Pittsburgh St. Louis game altogether. Cleveland and Minnesota, Lindor stands out to me as probably the best shortstop on the slate. Texas, Oakland. I think you could go Odor Mazzara again, like we did a couple days ago. Triggs pitches to contact. They make hard contact. Yeah. Lefty righty split. Yeah, I think that's worthy today. I mentioned Arizona, San Diego. I mentioned Shelby Miller. And actually, let me jump off of that bandwagon. Freeland, I could get behind that against the Dodgers, against the lefty there. And Miami, Seattle. Seattle's bats are on fuego. At the moment, Haniger with Cano and Cruz behind him, just kind of
right after that,
dominating at the moment. So yeah, their bats are hot. You can go right back there against Wei and Chen. Gallardo had a good start last time out, so maybe that continues. Perhaps it doesn't. But Stanton, Ozuna, Yelich still too cheap on DK. That's about it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll talk to you later. All right, Kyle?
Have a good one, buddy.
All right, peace.
So we just got Atlanta's lineup in. Just got Atlanta's lineup in. And the only thing that changed was the order of Phillips and Garcia. They just flopped. So from a Milwaukee standpoint, it's really, if this is the lineup, man, it's really hard to fade this team right now, especially against Brett Anderson. He has reverse splits, ironically. Well, at least WOBA-wise. So what this tells me here is he doesn't give up home runs to lefties, but he gives up extra base hits. And versus righties, he gives up home runs, but not much else. So not a strikeout pitcher. I think you can have full confidence. Eric Thames has at least shown so far that the splits do not matter to him. Ryan Braun, obviously, elite lefty killer. Domingo Santana, same. Keon Broxton hits lefties well, so pick your poison there. Even Travis Shaw is in play, so I can get behind that. I really like Kyle Schwarber. I like Rizzo, and then Brendan Zobrist. Chris Bryant's in play. He's just too expensive for what I want to do, so I personally won't go there. LA and Houston. Ricky Nolasco. Great pitcher to target, man. Great pitcher to target. I don't think we have the other lineups. I have the Twins lineup in. That's next game. So neither of these lineups are confirmed. You have Joe Musgrove on the other side. Not a bad pitcher, but isn't anything elite. So it is a hitter's ballpark, obviously in Houston. Short. This ISO makes sense for right-handed batters, seeing as though you have that short porch in left field. Ricky Nolasco gives it up to either side of the plate, so splits do not really worry me there. 348 WOBA versus righties, 343 versus lefties. High fly ball rate to both, over a home run per 9 to both. So George Springer in play. Jose Altuve has been pretty hot. Carlos Correa got a day off yesterday, should be nice and rested for today. Josh Reddick, he may move up. They may put him at 2 again and Bregman down at 7. Brian McCann has really good BVP history versus Ricky Nolasco, 8 home runs and 68 at bats. I would say that's a fair sample size. If the coaches also believe that, you're either going to see Beltran or Gaddis sit. I don't know which one. They may decide to go full lefties and sit Gaddis, but I do like Gaddis if he plays. I also like Beltran. I also like McCann if he plays. So kind of get your pick there. So a lot of options on this Houston side. I can see a Houston stack for sure. I don't know how high owned it's going to be. Obviously, with the other stacks in play here. On the LA side, that is going to be a full team fade for me. The only one that I would consider is Mike Trout, but he's mad expensive, and for that reason, I'm going to fade him. He's literally not going to fit in my roster, especially since I'll have a lot of Yu Darvish. So full fade there. Cleveland and Minnesota. We have the Twins lineup in. Minnesota, man, they let a lot of people down yesterday. There was some good history versus Salazar, and the Twins did not come through at all. We got Dozier, Mauer batting second. Interesting. Sano third. Max Kepler is going to go fourth. It's an interesting change. Sano Kepler. We're going to go Robbie Grossman fifth. Jason Castro. Jorge Polanco, Eddie Rosario. And good old Byron Buxton, man. He's batting ninth. This guy, I don't know what's happening to him. Just literally not, oh, man. Not finding his groove. Really frustrating. One of my favorite players, but Josh Tomlin, what is there to say about this guy? Gives it up. Has a low WOBA versus lefties, but gives up home runs. 2 per 9 to righties, 1.5 to lefties. I'm all over that. Twin stack is right back in play. Dozier, Sano, Kepler. I can go right back there. I can look at Grossman at 5. Jason Castro has relatively good numbers. So there's some pieces to like here from the Minnesota side. I like that Tomlin is a reverse split guy. Gives it up to righties. The stack I'm looking at is mostly righties. You have Dozier, Sano. Obviously, this park favors right-handed hitters a ton. Look at the ISO difference. 58 points. 58 points. ISO difference between the bat side. So these righties, man, I definitely like them. And you throw in Tomlin having reverse split. So a lot to like there. From the Cleveland side, Phil Hughes is just as bad. And he is also a reverse split guy. Gives it up to righties more than lefties. So Edwin Encarnacion, do we see him finally do something today? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I go there. I think Santana, Lindor, Brantley, right back in the stack. Brantley's bat is kind of picking it up recently. He hasn't had a bad start at all, but you're kind of seeing some power flash. So that is in play. Lindor is obviously always an elite one-off option. Priced accordingly for that. Braun back on the juice. I don't know, man. That Brewers team is on something. They got some really good protein supplements in that locker room. Power is unreal right now. I think we can adjust this. Starling Marte. If you guys roster him, he will be super low owned tonight. I'm actually kind of excited to see someone. It's the best part. You're going to see someone who didn't pay attention to the news, and they're going to roster Marte, and they're going to complain when they didn't know that he was on PEDs. Best part. So he's definitely not going to be in there. I don't know who they're going to replace him with. I saw Polanco pinch hit yesterday, so maybe he's back in the lineup. Who are they going to throw out in the outfield? Damn it, I don't even know. I'd have to take a look. I'll fix that after. Chad Cool, man. What is there? This guy, obviously one of their top prospects, has some nice stuff, strikeout potential, but also can give up the home run as shown. Adam Frazier's already in the lineup. Jack. I don't know who else they're going to replace him with. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know who is going to replace, Adam Frazier and whatnot. They got Josh Bell, Jordy Mercer. Nothing's just coming off the top of my head. I'm sure there's someone. Goddamn leaf blower. I know, I'm sorry. Let me go close that. That guy's an asshole. He always blows these damn leaves right when I'm doing my show. Yeah, I don't think I'm on a pirate stack at all tonight. I kind of like Mike Leake as a sneaky play. He's obviously going to be really low owned. He hasn't done bad so far this year, so I can get behind that, especially if he has one of his nice K games. A Cardinal stack, I can't get behind this right now, man. The Cardinals just are not a good offensive team. There hasn't been a lot to like from their bats so far. So Diaz, Carpenter, none of these guys, their numbers are good, but their bats this year are not producing. So I think I'm off a Cardinal stack right now. I don't think that puts me on to Chad Cool, but don't be surprised if he has a decent outing. But this is pretty much a game fade for me, other than a consideration to Mike Leake, but it's hard for me to go there when I can go down to a guy I like a little better. This is a full game stack potential for me. Damn it, man. Leake is the real deal. Got him in. I don't know. Leake has kind of been around the league. He's pretty much who he is at this point. I don't think he's great, but he's not bad. There's a reason he has a job, often the second or third best pitcher on a team. Yeah, I agree. Former Leake gives you a lot of cap at hitters. So, Kansas City is actually the second highest implied run total on the slate. And I think this stack is going to be really low owned. And I like that. So, you talk about you have your Orioles stack, highest implied total. Obviously, very granted. You have your Yankees cheap stack, you have your Mets stack. Kansas City, man. Matt Cain is bad. Bad. Especially on the road, man. Look at these numbers on the road. 1.8 home runs per nine. 379 WOBA. And against left-handers, he is just awful. 300 average, 377 OBP, 383 WOBA. Yeah, man. I am on an Alex Gordon, Mike Moustakas, Eric Hosmer, and Salvador Perez stack. I had Lackey yesterday. Yeah, Lackey was a terrible. I don't think Lackey's a good pitcher. I've been saying that, but I don't know why he was chalk yesterday. I really don't. I want to know who talked him up. Wasn't on him at all. So, yeah, man, I'm on a Kansas City Royal stack. I am. I think I can go against Matt Cain, and then on the flip, Jason Hamill isn't exactly an elite pitcher himself. Does get strikeouts, but against lefties he can be exposed. And I look at these Giants numbers. Really? This guy's right outside my window. God damn it. I hope you guys can't hear that. I'm sure you can. He's literally outside my door right now. This guy. Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, Joe Panic is a stack I like today from the Giants. So when I talk a full game stack, I can go Giants, I can go Royals. That's 7 guys alone from this game. Brandon Crawford might go back up to this 4-hole, which I like if he's there. Especially, you can get behind a Belt, Pence, and Crawford stack, 2, 3, 4. But I like Joe Panic as well down here. Giants do get an extra hitter, obviously being in the AL now. This Royals lineup just came out, as did the Nationals. Leaf blower guy, the real MVP. It's so loud I thought my lawn guy was outside. God damn it. Hate this guy. Gordon, Moose, Kane, Hosmer, Perez, Brandon Moss, Alcides Escobar. That is interesting. Whit Merrifield. Probably spelled his name wrong. And Raul Mondesi. How you spell Merrifield's first name? Yeah. Leaf blower stack. Oh, it's wit. Like you're witty. Lol. Do I have his last name spelled wrong or something? Because it's still not popping up with any stats, but Whit Merrifield. Whatever. Not playing him anyway. So, Gordon, Hosmer, Moose, and Perez. That's where I'm at. Giants, obviously, I mentioned that. I like Belt, Crawford, and Panic. No pitchers from this game. No thank you. Giants don't strike out, so I don't care what Hamill's numbers are. Texas and Oakland. Andrew Triggs is a good pitcher. Andrew Triggs is a good pitcher. He doesn't give up home runs, low fly ball rate, low hard contact, has strikeout stuff. I think I'm off a Texas stack today. You got him in a pitcher's ballpark. It's a low game total. So obviously you got Darvish on one side. But what speaks to Triggs' stuff is look at the Vegas lines. Darvish is not that heavily favorited. So this speaks to Andrew Triggs' stuff, man. I don't like Casey besides Perez. They'll single you to death. I don't know, man. Moose has shown some power potential. So I'm on Moose. And then Gordon leading off. I can get behind that, set the table. And then Hosmer. So I'm on a KC stack, but I can see why you're not. Absolutely. I think Andrew Triggs is a good play tonight. I really do. I think he's going to be low owned. I think he's got the park in his favor. I mean, just bad park factor all around, everywhere in this park. So I like Andrew Triggs, and I think he can be a very contrarian play to the chalk of the day that is Darvish. Yeah. Triggs only 5K on DraftKings. So that is mad cheap. What is he on FanDuel? I want to see. Andrew Triggs is... Wow. He is 7,400 on FanDuel. You want to talk about a price discrepancy. Wow. So Andrew Triggs, 7,400 on FanDuel. That's going to make him even lower owned because you got him right in the middle. Right in the middle of all those pitchers. So I can really get behind him from a GPP standpoint. Jails in Texas. Yeah, no, on DraftKings, that 5K price is really cheap. I kind of like that. From the Texas side, again, I don't think I stack this game. I really don't. Maybe Mazzara and Odor as one-offs. They both hit lefties relatively well, so I look there. But other than that, I'm really not looking at a Texas stack. Definitely not looking at an Oakland stack. I think Darvish has lights-out stuff. So high strikeout potential there. I have him as the highest projected strikeout pitcher on the slate. I like that move, JL. Darvish and Triggs, pitcher stack, game stack, as late night hammers. I like that. You got the Diamondbacks and the Padres, Shelby Miller and Jared Cosart. Two elite bad pitchers. I used a double negative there, I think. They're not good. By the way, we just got the Giants lineup. And it looks like Buster Posey is making his return today. That is interesting. Span, Belt, Pence, Buster Posey. Good old Gerald Posey. It's his real name, in case anyone was wondering. Gerald Posey. Brandon Crawford batting fifth. Nunez. Nick Hundley. I like it. Posey's going to be the DH today. I like it. This is a perfect time to bring him back. Joe Panic and Chris Marrero. So, Posey's expensive. I don't know if I go there at catcher. I like Salvi more. So, Belt, Crawford, Panic. That is an odd stack, but I don't know. That's harder for me. Maybe I go just Belt, Pence, and Crawford. I don't know if I like Panic all the way down there, but I can see it on the flip actually. Panic, Belt, Pence. Not too far apart. So Texas, Oakland mentioned that. Arizona, San Diego. I don't know, man. You got a pitcher's park. Padres hitters have been pretty hot, though. Will Myers done really well. Manuel Margot has been really hot. Gets on base. Ryan Schimpf, an elite one-off. A home run or nothing guy, literally. And you look at Shelby Miller giving it up to lefties. So I look at Ryan Schimpf as a one-off today. I don't think I stack the Padres. On the Diamondback side, I don't think I stack there either, even though the pitchers are pretty bad. Jared Cozart does keep the ball in the park. Really low fly ball percentage, so I think I'm going to stay away from a game stack here. I look at Ryan Schimpf as an elite one-off, and that's about it. Maybe Will Myers. Yeah, good old Gerald Posey. Love me some Gerald. All right. Look at the Rockies. We talk about the Dodgers struggling versus lefties. The Rockies do some struggling versus lefties themselves. Ryu is not a good pitcher, though, but he does a pretty good job of keeping the ball in the park. All home runs per 9 under 1. I think Trevor Story as a one-off. That's about it today from the Rockies. Nolan Arenado doesn't hit lefties well. Much better versus righties. Well documented. I don't know, man. I think Story. One-off, and that's about it. I think that's all I go. From the Dodgers side, I'm definitely not stacking them. I'm going to go. I like Kyle Freeland today. You take him out of Coors where he already dominated the Dodgers. You put him in a pitcher's park like Los Angeles. It's playing at night. Ball's not going to travel as well. A lot of factors in there. He struck out quite a few of their batters last time. So I like that. He's had 2 starts under his belt now. He knows this team. I just think a lot of things point to Freeland today. And he's extremely cheap. I think he's the 3rd cheapest pitcher on FanDuel at $6,500. So people are going to fade him, and I'm okay with that. He's one of the late night pitchers. Everyone's going to be on Yu Darvish. So some things to like about Kyle Freeland today. And I'll be excited when I get him at like 2% owned. If he goes out and does a Robbie Ray, he won't get 10 strikeouts. But if he gets like 6 or 7, I'd be mucho happy. That's a lot of happy in Spanish. Miami, Seattle. Seattle bats have been hot. Robinson Cano, Nelson Cruz, Kyle Seager. Theo likes Danny Valencia. I don't know why. Danny Valencia is not a good player. Just don't do that. Taylor Motter. He'll probably move up in the order, actually, so I'll probably put him at 6. That's where he's been batting. And we'll move Danny down to 8th just for time's sake. He'll probably bat 7th. So, where do we go here? You got Haniger at 2, who's hot as well. Wei Chen gives it up to righties, man. He is awful versus right-handed pitching. Look at this. 1.5 home runs per 9, 0.5 versus lefties. So you got Haniger, Nelson Cruz, we talk about this, and in all caps, elite. Capital E-L-I-T-E, elite. Great, elite, expert, wonderful, fantastic. Bats cleanup versus a left-handed pitcher that gives up hits to home runs, or hits to righties, home runs to righties, whatever you want to call it. Nelson Cruz, elite one-off today in the outfield there. I know we talk about Safeco, not great for righties. Nelson Cruz defies all logic in that sense. Dude is just a power hitter. Will Seattle stat go low owned today? I like 2, 4, 6. You know what, Jose? I am 100% with you. Mitch Haniger's hot. Taylor Motter, extremely hot. And Nelson Cruz, I mean, we know his history versus lefties. So, Sam says he looks worse against lefties. Maybe worse by his standards. but is a 407 WOBA and a 271 ISO at home versus lefties bad? Hell no. That's above excellent in all the thresholds. So even if he has a 410 WOBA versus righties, he's still elite versus lefties. And that's a home run every 14 at bats. Sign Kyle up. I'm all over that. So Nelson Cruz will make an appearance in some of Kyle's lineups tonight. I'm gonna fade Kyle Seager. I'm with Jose right there. 2-4-6. I like it. If that is in fact the lineup, Haniger, Cruz, and Motter. Haniger's still relatively cheap for what he can do. Home run potential there. So give me that. I can look at a Marlin stack too, though, man. Giovanni Gallardo, not a good pitcher. Not a good pitcher. He's definitely no Felix Hernandez, that's for sure. So Stanton, home run. He's kind of cooled off a little bit. He is another example like Nelson Cruz. The fact that Safeco is a righty killer does not factor in for him. Yelich hit a home run last night. Real Muto hits righties a lot better. He's going to bat 2. Ozuna, I'd imagine he'll sit in that 6 hole with Bohr going up to 5 against a righty. So a lot to like there on the Marlin side. I think I like a Seattle stack more. Yeah, I think I like, I don't know why Chen is not there. I don't know who Miami's going to fit there. I'll figure that out. But as of right now, they don't have a 9th place hitter. I like a Seattle stack more. I do. I think it's cheaper as well. Stanton and Ozuna are pretty high priced. Yeah. So, hi Missy. Where do we go here? So let's recap. My pitchers for the day are Yu Darvish, Kyle Freeland, and Andrew Triggs. Those are my 3 pitchers. Ironically, all are in the late slate. Mike Leake gets some consideration. Luis Severino gets consideration. And just making sure I didn't miss anyone, Michael Fulmer gets consideration. Personally, won't roster either of those. Any of those. Like I said, my 3 pitchers I'm rolling out: Kyle Freeland, Yu Darvish, and Andrew Triggs. Andrew Triggs will be the least of the 3, but Yu Darvish will get the most ownership from me. Kyle Freeland will be in my lineups that I want to stack these high-powered offenses. And then you got Andrew Triggs in the middle for low ownership. My favorite stacks of the night, I have talked myself onto a Seattle stack. All over that. I'm big on a Met stack tonight. I think it'll be low owned. I think it's cheap. And then I'm really, really, really on a Royal stack. And it's going to be low owned. You have where is that? Damn it. You have Baltimore. You have the Yankees. I think will be high owned, right? So Kansas City, good contrarian play. There's just a lot to like. I like that. So I'm gonna roll with that. You'll see some Baltimore, some national players in my lineups, but for fitting Darvish, I think you got to look at some Royals. You got to look at some Mets, and maybe some Seattle Mariners. If you want, like when I run Freeland out there, you'll see me with the higher priced stacks, Baltimore, Nationals. But there is some concerns for me with the Nationals. Obviously, the weather be number 1. You have wind blowing in, and you have potential for rain. So watch out for those. And yeah, man, that is it. I will update these rosters as they come in. Obviously, Marte is not going to play, so I just don't know who they're going to replace him with yet. These lineups are confirmed. We don't have these yet. We don't have these. Yeah. So, all right. As always, actually, just kidding. Let me give you guys a quick breakdown. Triggs and Freeland only 10-4 on DraftKings, leaving you $49.50 per hitter. Wowzers. I don't hate that. Wrong scene. Also wrong scene. Bam. There it is. Real quick. Personally, not going to play NBA today. I'm in full baseball mode, but I do still follow it for you guys. So, Giannis, I think, is an elite play versus Toronto. Jimmy Butler balled out. I think this is a must-win for Boston, so I think you see Isaiah Thomas show up tonight all over that. Blake Griffin against Utah. I don't know, man. The Clippers playoffs, Clippers in the playoffs, those two words don't go well together. Something about them, they just don't have that gene. Utah, without Rudy Gobert, lost him in the first minute of the game, still won. So Chris Paul obviously is still a good play, but damn, man. Playoff Kyle Lowry showed up. For those of you that are unfamiliar who playoff Kyle Lowry is, he's not good. He doesn't do much. He is great at not showing up in the playoffs. Historically, there's a reason he has that name with him, playoff Kyle Lowry. So, for me, not worth that price. I'll pay up to Isaiah Thomas. DeMar DeRozan does get some consideration. Dwayne Wade, I'm good, no thank you. Rondo in Boston, still a good play. I can get there. Greg Monroe, absolutely in play, and so is Jonas Valanciunas if he goes there. I don't know the exact status on Serge right now. I know that it was up in the air when we started the show, so keep an eye out on that. If he doesn't play, I expect increased minutes from PJ Tucker. DeMar Carroll will obviously have his role. So you have Tucker. You probably have Valanciunas probably should get a little more run, I'd imagine. I don't think Podol gets a ton of run. But, wow, that shot up fast. We went from 60 to 77 viewers in a matter of seconds. Welcome. Where do I go? I don't know, man. I really don't like the slate, to be honest with you. I think Giannis is a must-play. Chris Paul, I think, is a good play. Still against Utah, that's a position I like to attack. Do we have word on Rudy Gobert? Is he playing? I guess I should find out. Let me find out if Rudy Gobert is playing. Rudy Gobert is out. So DeAndre Jordan. Look at DeAndre Jordan. I think Clippers have to win this game. They're at home. So Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan stack. I like that. I think you can fit Giannis with that. And then I like Rondo. Robbie, he'll probably be cheaper. Or he'll fit that stack. Damn it. Avery Bradley. Yeah, I can look there. Who's going to ball out between Mirotic and Portis? Pick your poison. Maybe both do. Maybe neither do. It's a question that I can't answer. I don't know. Other than that, I don't think I really go anywhere. Boris Diaw should see some increased minutes without Gobert tonight, so maybe you look there as a punt play. There's really not much to like down here, man. PJ Tucker, obviously if Serge is out. That's about it, man. It's about as deep as I go down the value pool. Boris Diaw, Rodney Hood, maybe Tony Snell. I don't know. Not really too excited about him. PJ Tucker. I mean, he's not a great offensive threat either. So pick your poison, man. Really, there's, like I said, I'm full baseball. I advise you to go light on this slate as well. I just don't like the game scripts here. I think Chicago, Boston, Milwaukee, Toronto are probably the best game scripts. Utah, LA, I like just Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan, maybe some Gordon Hayward. But other than that, I think that's a game I fade. I really actually don't like a full game script from Milwaukee, Toronto either. Like I said, Giannis, maybe DeRozan. And then you have some value plays from there. So that's about it, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I'll be in Slack answering questions you guys have. Knocking this baseball stuff out. We still got 6 hours to lock. Kind of crazy. First time we've had that, obviously, this baseball season. So, as always, if you guys are interested in obtaining these spreadsheets and coming into our Slack community, the best out there, we now have a DFS 101 guide for baseball that we sent out to all the subscribers. So, if you are new to baseball, we will take care of you. You get 7 days free to try it out. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul. You can come back right back and just watch the YouTube videos. So appreciate you guys. As always, have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you on the other side.